where it was a stunning victory, almost like game of the year from Richard.
Yeah. Richard
came up with a novelty and won.
Yeah, when it works for him, he's unstoppable, and he also can play in style. Right. That's something that you don't see very often. Black has sacrificed a pawn, and yeah, so basically it was a ready opening where Black went with d4, having the pawn on e6, right? Castles, knight to c6, e3, e5, e takes, and if you take with the e pawn, this is known to be like pleasant for white, for the sole reason that it's a known structure, but first of all, colors reversed, so you get this with one extra tempo, and the fact that Black has played e7, e6, and later on e7, e5, so you get a known position 2 tempi up, and therefore it is good for white. But the principal move is to go e4 here, knight to g5, knight d4, rook e1, bishop e7, captures on e4, bishop f5. Rook to e5, and Black is expected to play c7, c6, I believe.
Yeah.
Something very solid.
You don't want to be chasing waterfalls by going knight to c2.
Yeah, knight
takes
c2,
bishop.
rook takes bishop, right?
Exactly, and the knight is going to get trapped on a1.
Yep,
So
you
don't
take
do
that
that.
one, and white can even take on b7. So after knight a1, white can even take on b7. Oop. And then goes check on c6 and so on. So c6, there is, interestingly, there is queen d6.
Attacking the rook.
Attacking the rook, where it's still kind of a little bit awkwardly placed, because if you go to d5, it's queen f6.
Yeah,
It can get quite messy, so apparently after queen d6, one thing to do for white is to take on f5, take on b7. I do not know how to evaluate that one, so white gets 2 pawns for an exchange.
right. But I tell you something else that will it impact your decision. Your opponent has barely paused for thought. So Richard has got more time than he started with. So he means he knows this. So
Right.
do you play the most uncompromising line?
Yeah, I guess. far they're following the computer line. I don't know how Prag does it with 1 minute on the clock, but so far he finds kind of all the best moves that computer was to recommend, and apparently it's very close to being equal.
Yeah, it's close, but still unpleasant. Right now the bishop has come to e3 and...
Yeah, so bishop e3, rook takes knight, pawn takes rook. But you have this very far advanced h pawn
You have
with
to push
black,
it now.
right?
I get the feeling, otherwise you're never going to be able to do it. You've got f4 in the air as well.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, Pragg is literally putting in all the chips with that h pawn.
Yeah, I'm thinking you put the pawn here, right? You put the pawn here, and if f4 was played, then okay, you can try this to kind of, activate the rook this way.
I thought you perhaps g5 or something.
g5 is a good move as well. Then white takes, and you have the h pawn protected.
Yes.
This too doesn't really threaten. And then you have rook h4. I imagine you can go king e7 and then shift the rook to attack these two pawns, while white rook is still stuck on h1. They should be dynamically balanced, strangely, even though white's pawn up and potentially will be 2 pawns up.
Okay, let's revisit our critical boards 3 to 5, where it looks like the players, perhaps Nordebek and Abhimanyu Mishra,
To board 3.
board
right?
3.